I wrote the book about creating a new self after being widowed, including dating, but also grieving. I really didn't feel like there were any books that were capturing how I felt, kind of the desperation. A lot of the books were a little too cheerful. Also, the surrealism, what it's like to date again when you have not done this forever. And it was funny a lot of the time to be in all these new kind of modern situations I'd never dealt with. So I wanted to offer humor, but also real emotion and also hope.
This is episode number 553 with Debbie Weiss, a midlife widow's search for love. Hi, everybody. I am Sandy Weiner, and welcome back to Last First Date Radio, where we believe it is never too late to go on your last first date. And to support you on your journey, I've written 2 books. The first one is Becoming a Woman of Value, How to Thrive in Life and Love. And it's for women who want to succeed in all areas of life and love. The second book was just released on Valentine's Day, and it's called Choice Points in Dating. And I wrote this book to empower people to make healthier choices at every stage of dating and relationships. And you can find them both on Amazon for Kindle or paperback. This week's tip on becoming a woman of value is step number 23. Be aware of your tone. The words we say matter, but the tone matters more. So be aware of the tone of your voice when you're upset and you're trying to not say things with a bad tone of voice. People can feel it. So there's a quick thing you can do if you are really upset and you want to say something to somebody. Take a few breaths and try to center yourself. And if you really are too charged, take a breath or take a break and tell the person that you will get back to them in a little bit. So my challenge to you this week is to be aware of your tone and calm yourself down before you speak to have the best communication. Before I bring on my guest, I want to invite you to join Your Last First Date. We are a highly monitored group that will support you on your journey to lasting love. This is not a place where you can come and just say how terrible everything is in your dating life. We want you to grow and learn along the way, and you'll have so much support there. So come and join us at Your Last First Date. My guest today is Debbie Weiss. She is the author of Available As Is, A Midlife Widow's Search for Love. She's a former lawyer, and she has essays that were published in the New York Times Modern Love column, which is really not easy to get into, by the way, among other places. She is the proudest of getting her MFA at 56. Fabulous. She lives in Benicia. Is that how you pronounce it? Benicia, California, with her second life partner, Randal. Welcome to the show, Debbie.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the backstory. So how long were you married? Tell us about your husband a little bit and how you got to here today.
I knew my late husband since I was 7 and he was 11. We grew up together and our parents worked together. We started dating my senior year in high school. He was a senior at Cal Berkeley, majoring in engineering. And we just got together and we lasted. We actually didn't get married till I was 40 and I quit practicing law because we didn't want the marriage penalty for taxes. My late husband was a financial software architect. He worked on Quicken. So he was very aware of taxes. But we were together for 32 years. And then in 2009, he was diagnosed with cancer. And we had a few good years, but he passed in 2013. And at that point, we'd been together 32 years. And he was my one and only.
Wow. How old were you at this point?
49.
So you're 49 years old. This is the love of your life that you've known since you were a child. That's crazy.
I know.
And also I love that you don't have to be married the whole time. Like it doesn't have to be to the books. And this is something I talk about a lot, both on the podcast and also with my clients, that as we get older, I think it becomes even more apparent that we can kind of design relationships. They don't have to all look the same.
Oh, I agree completely. Yeah. Yeah, we kind of lived how we did. We didn't have children. We were pretty isolated, but we were very happy. We kind of did things, the way we wanted to.
Yeah. So a lot of times when I'm working with somebody who's been widowed, I always ask them, what do they want to repeat in the next relationship and what do they maybe want to do a little differently? So did you have kind of an idea when you started dating again, what you wanted to kind of do similarly, because it seemed like you had a successful relationship? And were there things in your relationship that you wanted to maybe try something different?
Yes. Um, Originally, when I started dating, I was just kind of looking around a bit because I hadn't dated. I was with my husband since my senior year of high school. And before that, I was kind of a geek. So not much experience. But what I wanted to keep the same was love and commitment and to have a real partner where, you do the dishes together, you ask about each other's day. I wanted that kind of serious commitment and involvement. But when I was married, I didn't really have a lot of friends and I didn't pursue my own interests. I gardened, I took fitness classes, but I didn't have any real passions. And after my husband passed, I traveled some on my own. I really got into yoga and hiking. I really got into writing, obviously, getting the MFA. So I knew in my next relationship, I wanted to keep my own interests going and have my own friends and still be my own person, which I wasn't so much in my first marriage.
I think that's pretty common that we
Yeah.
tend to give ourselves over to a partner and most of us are pretty happy doing that for a long time. It just seems like it works, but you do have a whole life that doesn't happen and all these passions and things that you want to pursue. And I think later in life, when we date again, I think more and more people are saying, I want to keep my life and add value by having a partner in it. That sounds like what you were looking for.
That was, yeah, very much. I think also when we're younger, I mean, at least I was very career focused. I quit practicing law at 40, but until then, it was law, it was all encompassing. We didn't have children, but people are parents. So I think when you're a little older, you start to get your own interests more, and it's less this sense of career and family.
What was it that got you to start dating again? Because for everyone, it's different. It can be really hard. Well, dating again, dating for the first time.
Kind of, yeah. I was lonely. I wanted to have a person in my life again, and I wasn't sure what that would look like. But I did want to try, and I wanted to see what that was like. And I ultimately did want to find love again.
And how long after he passed did this happen?
14 months. I did 14 months, and then I went online. I went on J Date.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I also tried JDate at first, and it was a whole different animal than I think it is now. But what was that like for you?
Not great. First of all, there wasn't a huge pool of people near where I lived, so it was a little bit limiting that way. Unfortunately, most of the men I met, I would say a good 2/3 had mommy issues. I do not understand it. It's a stereotype, but I would hear that their mothers had ruined them. And, I lost my mom when I was 10. I was raised by a single dad, and he's a wonderful parent, but I don't have a lot of sympathy for that. And so I just, the people were more serious, which was helpful, but they had so many of their own problems that I had to move on from that.
How long were you on JDate for?
I want to say 6 months. I'm not sure. I was on a bunch of sites. After that, I went to Match. I went to Plenty of Fish. I went to Tinder. Okay, Cupid was kind of my most probably successful site. I mean, these places are pretty depressing, the sites themselves.
You tried the apps and different sites, more not Jewish, but more universal sites. And so what did you like about OkCupid?
What I liked about it was that there tended to be more information about the people you saw. A lot of the sites I found a little confusing, even the sites where the women get to pick, which is a nice idea, but the men didn't have a lot of information about themselves. And so I'd look at something and I'd be like, well, do they have kids? How old are they? What does this person like to do? And Cupid seemed to get more detailed information. And then I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it seemed to have more people that were in my proximity.
Yeah, I mean, OkCupid asks lots of questions, and you can match with people based on answers, and they definitely have a lot of things that you're supposed to fill out, which
Yeah.
does help you to get to know people better. And did you consult any online resources or anything to figure out how to write a profile, how to do all this? Because it's confusing. I teach courses in this.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering how you prepared yourself to get out there and do online dating.
Well, I'm a former lawyer, and my kind of law, I practiced insurance coverage. It was a lot of research. So Google, how do you write a dating profile? What do you do? And the most helpful thing I found was a TED talk by this woman who talks about how men are visual and what kind of information to put up. So I had professional photos done, which may have been, I don't know, a waste or shallow, but I figured I'd give myself the best shot. And I didn't have a lot of photos that were recent, obviously, being married and caring for a cancer patient. It also helped me to just feel more attractive, going through this. And then I just kind of put together a profile that I thought was funny and not too dark. And, I just kind of did some online research and put together what I thought was sort of fun. And I also put right up front that I'm a lawyer to avoid scams. I figured people would be scared by that.
It's an interesting thing because a lot of times if people have dated lawyers, they feel that they are liars because a lot of their practice is sticking up for people who are not necessarily in the right. And depending on what kind of law you practice, but I think there's a lot of negative bias out there for lawyers. Did you find any of that for yourself?
Not so much. I'm a woman. I think being a woman helped.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I kind of did that on purpose because I think some men are intimidated by that. And I didn't want a guy who was intimidated by the fact that I have a law degree.
Yeah.
I don't dumb down anymore. I did a lot when I was younger and I was dating, not really dating, but high school types of things.
Mm-hmm.
When I was practicing law, I tried not to be too forceful, which did not serve me well. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to put it out there because I was sort of hoping for someone who thought that was a good thing. Yay, a woman with a graduate degree.
Mm-hmm. So were you looking for that in a man as well?
I was when I started out. I write about that occasionally. Yeah, I was. I was looking for somebody with degrees and a big career and all kinds of stuff. But ultimately, I realized it was because I didn't feel that I had that.
Mm.
So I changed. But originally, yeah, I was looking for that.
I think a lot of people do. A lot of women in particular think that a graduate degree is going to guarantee that the man is intelligent, and it doesn't. And
Right.
I think that people tend to narrow down that net so much when they're only searching for 6 feet tall, a graduate degree, big career. And often, and I found this through the work I do as well, that a lot of women who are attracted to the CEO of the company, these big men who have these big careers, they're not relational. They have no idea how to be in relationship because their relationship is primarily with work. And that is their first love, really. It is you're the mistress and that's their work, and their work is their wife. And I have seen it over and over again, lovely men who just don't prioritize the woman in their life because the work has been so important. Did you find that at all when you were dating?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. With some of these folks, I did find that their work was it. And I
Mm-hmm.
could be slotted in, when they had a little time here or there, but that isn't what I wanted. I
Yes.
wanted something more encompassing. And, some of them are a little full of themselves. They think they're so smart and you're kind of an audience to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really want to be regarded as kind of an adjunct or a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Just because someone's really successful doesn't mean that they're good in a relationship or that they're good at relating to other people.
Mm-hmm. Or that their values match yours.
That too.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Music Unlimited. You can listen to over 70 million songs and thousands of playlists and stations. Plus, you can now stream your favorite podcasts like Last First Date Radio. You can listen to any song, anytime, anywhere on any of your devices. Get Amazon Music Unlimited for free for 30 days. Just head on over to getamazonmusic.com/last first date to learn more and claim this offer. Spoiler alert, you met Randal.
I did.
And so how did you meet him?
I met him online, like actually on OkCupid. It was surprising though. Wasn't meeting anybody for a while. Anybody I wanted to hang out with. And then one day I had a picture on my site of me at a car show, and I'm wearing tennis shoes with skulls on them. And I got an email that said, "Oh, I love your shoes. Are those Vans with skulls on them?" I said, "Yes, they are." I got a message. "I want to get a pair. How'd you get those?" And so that's kind of how it started.
So he liked your shoes.
He liked my shoes.
Cool. That's a great way to start. And I love that you had that picture up there, because I think what a lot of people don't understand is it's not enough to just have professional pictures where you're posed. It's really important to have pictures where you're doing things that you love, where you have activities, because they tell a story. And he was able to comment on the story instead of just saying, "You look pretty," right?
No, I agree. I think it is important. Also, just because professional pictures can be retouched, they can, I think it's good to have some pictures that show you in real life and show what you love to do.
Mm-hmm. So you started with comments about your shoes, and then how did the relationship develop?
We met for tea, and I just gotten out of a really bad relationship. I'd been dating for about 5 years, and I just had like my worst breakup ever. I was pretty sad, and he'd lost his mother 9 months ago. So we kind of bonded over being sad because, I was always missing George, my husband, and we decided to be friends. And he would text me pictures of sunrises when he went jogging, which is not anything I do, and pictures of sunsets in the evening. And then a couple weeks after we had tea, it was Memorial Day. And he said, "I'm going to go on Memorial Day. I have an old convertible. I'm going to drive through the Marin Headlands. I'm going to stop at my favorite restaurants. Do you want to go?" And it was kind of late notice. And he said, "If you don't want to go, it's okay. I'm going to go by myself. I like to go by myself." And I was going to go hiking, but I thought, well, why not? We'll either like each other or we'll hate each other because we're spending all day sitting in a car together. And it was wonderful. We had a fantastic time.
So that was your first kind of romantic date?
That was our first real date. Yeah.
Yeah. And now how long are you together?
5 years.
Oh, wow.
We just moved in together. I bought a new house a year and a half ago, and I moved out of the home I'd lived in with George. And Randal and I moved in together, and it's been lovely.
What's the biggest surprise about living with a new partner?
You're not alone. I mean, I'm kidding. I mean, what I love is the companionship. I'm a big walker, and where I live, it's wonderful for walking. I live a mile and by the water views, a mile and a half to this pier downtown. It's lovely. And I really like, he'll come walk with me, and we'll have dinner together, and we'll grocery shop. And we have tell me about your day, because when I was widowed, I so much missed having somebody to ask me about my day. And the companionship is amazing. The harder part, because I was alone for a while and I'm an only child, is being pleasant. You have to remember this is a person you're with. You have to be pleasant. You can't just say, "Turn off the TV. I'm having a crappy day,"
Yeah. Well, I think anybody, even if you're not an only child or you were alone for a while, it's hard to be on your best behavior and to just be kind all the time. It's,
Right.
Sometimes you're just in a grouchy mood. I had a client who once said, "Sometimes I just want permission to be Homer Simpson."
Exactly. Yes.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the book, why you wrote it, and what is it about?
The book is about creating a new life after being widowed. And I refer to it as finding a voice after an all-encompassing marriage, because I was with my husband since I was 17. So when he passed, I didn't really know who I was on my own. I'd always been a we. We did everything together, and he really controlled things. Not in a bad way. It just worked out that way. He had the finance. He did the finances. The bills were all paid from his accounts. He enjoyed gourmet cooking and buying fancy ingredients and home improvement projects. So that's what we did. And when he was gone, I had to figure out what I like to do. So I wrote the book about creating a new self after being widowed, including dating, but also grieving. I really didn't feel like there were any books that were capturing how I felt, kind of the desperation. A lot of the books were a little too cheerful. Also, the surrealism, what it's like to date again when you have not done this forever. And it was funny a lot of the time to be in all these new kind of modern situations I'd never dealt with. So I wanted to offer humor, but also real emotion and also hope.
It's important to talk about both because a lot of people don't enjoy getting sad. They don't enjoy hearing about grieving. It's like, let's just move past it and get to the next stage and let's hear about the happy ending. And the grieving it's real, and it's not just it happens once and you're over. You continue to grieve. And I think for you, moving to a new home was probably very helpful in starting a new life and not having all the old memories there. And also for a new partner to see old memories. I mean, that's a balancing act that a lot of people have to figure out. How much of my late spouse do I keep in the house? I've heard every iteration of this, from like there's pictures everywhere and they're all in the bedroom, and it's yeah, don't do that. But yeah, you don't erase it either. And especially people who have families and children, and the children want to see the parent who's no longer there. And I mean, it's a really a very personal thing. So how did you balance all that?
It was really easy for us, actually, because we're both kind of into home decor. And we really wanted the new house by the water to be beachy. And I was really ready to get rid of a lot of my late husband's stuff. I just didn't have the impetus to do it because a lot of the stuff was him. It wasn't me. And in the old house, it had a place. I didn't think about it. But with the new house, we just kind of went, well, assume this is a beach cottage. Does this look good? Does this look good? And then from there, we just got rid of it. But I really don't have trouble getting rid of stuff. But Randal, that's my partner, was funny because he was trying to be so respectful. And between the two of us, we had too much stuff. And I had too much stuff for the walls. And I had some big dark oil paintings my late husband had purchased. And finally, we have the last, hauling away. And it's getting ready. And I said, well, is there anything else? Is there anything else? No. I said, okay, this is it. And he goes, well, actually, that, and that. And it's like, well, that's most of the walls of my house.
But you figured it out.
We figured it out. Yeah, it was fun. It was actually fun to move. And it was good for me. Like my husband had a huge oil painting of a pinball machine. And that was his pride and joy. It was expensive he was an engineer. That was a reward for a lot of work. But I don't play pinball. It was, whenever I looked at it, it was a little too much memory.
Yeah.
It's nice to have some things with memories, but not everything.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and the things that represent the two of you more than just him, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's good that you're also with somebody who understands it and can work with you. And I think I personally love moving. I love clearing stuff out.
Yes, I do that. I love that.
A lot of people have so much trouble letting go of anything. And it holds you back. It keeps you really stuck if you're just holding on to every little thing. And it feels icky after a while to me. I just feel like it's clutter, it's chaos. It helps to have clean stuff that you love, stuff that you've chosen.
I agree. I agree completely. It takes your energy. Like if you look in your closet and half of it is stuff, I don't want to wear this. That's not easy. I mean, I like to look in a closet and go, okay, well, these are the things I'm going to wear.
Yeah. And you'll wear them.
Or this is a space I love to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I think otherwise it takes your energy because it's sort of these tasks that you know you need to do, but you're not.
Yeah, and what's hard for a lot of people is they don't start a system of getting rid of stuff. And so it piles up and piles up and piles up. And that's true with paperwork and clothes. And if you don't really discipline yourself to say, if I'm bringing something in, I'm going to take something out, it can really get overwhelming. So it's good that you were able to downsize, to take stuff, combine homes, and do things that are hard for a lot of people. So as we close, I would love to hear, what are your final words of advice for anyone who wants to go on their last first date, especially somebody who's been widowed?
Oh, okay. I would say find yourself first. Dating can have a lot of negative energy, and you need to feel really good and secure in yourself. And the second thing I would say is there are some good people out there, but some aren't. And if someone isn't treating you well, I think as women of our generation, we're raised to be very conciliatory. We're raised to accommodate other people. I think we need to know who you are and really stand up for yourself. If someone's advocating something you don't want, or they're not being respectful, just cut them loose. They wouldn't be your person anyway. They wouldn't be right for you. So I think it's really important to have a sense of self and stand up for yourself.
I so agree. And I think so many people were not raised to speak up, and they're not raised to honor and value themselves enough to say, this isn't working, and there are other people out there who would be a better fit, or even being alone is better than being in a relationship with this type of person. And it's important to let them go.
I think so. I really do.
So,
Because I see people putting up with stuff that they don't want to.
yeah. No, I mean, I've done it. I've done it. And I think most of us have done it, right? You were saying you had that hard relationship,
Oh, yeah.
that terrible breakup. Yeah, this has been a lovely conversation, Debbie. I would love for you to share one link where people can find you.
Debbie Weiss author. That's my website. That has information on my book, where to buy it, probably my social links. I'm all over Instagram and Facebook, usually as Debbie Weiss author. But the best place to find me is my website,
Okay,
debbieweissauthor.com.
Good. And I know that you have a free gift for our audience. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, if you subscribe to my newsletters, which I think are good, you get the first chapter of my book for free. And if you sign up, you get the first chapter. So you can test drive my book without having to commit to the whole thing.
Okay. We like to test drive, just like in dating. Just wanted to repeat the name of your book again. It's called Available As Is, A Midlife Widow's Search for Love. Thank you so much, Debbie, for coming on the show and sharing your inspirational story of how you healed after loss, how you found love again. The journey is not a straight line. And I appreciate your honesty and your openness and willingness to share with my audience today.
Thank you, Sandy. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks. And thanks, everybody, for listening. If you love our show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. We'll be your best friend. And as always, here's to your last first date. If you are ready to get unstuck, gain new tools, become more empowered, and finally find your last first date, I'd love to talk to you. Fill out an application to be considered for a complimentary half-hour love breakthrough session at lastfirstdate.com/application.